Hello everyone, I'm Tim from Tim's PC and I build custom PCs to suit needs or budget. Also live stream my builds and repairs for transparency and educational purposes. So if you would like to get an awesome new PC and you'd like to see it get put together live, send me a message today. Alrighty, so tonight we've got one that a lot of people will be very interested in because it is a white Lian Li build with all white components and Lian Li cable extenders. Yay, it's got all the good stuff. Corsair for our RGB. We've got the RTX Vision card in white, so we've got lots of good components here that a lot of people will be salivating over, to be quite honest. Alright, so let's go through what we've actually got here and what we're going to be building. So we've got an i5 11600K, 6-core 12-thread CPU. We're going to be putting it with this B560 Steel Legend motherboard. So the reason why I've gone this board here is we're not interested in really doing any extreme overclocking or anything like that with our i5 K series. We went with the K series because it's on a good special and it's a much better performing i5 just straight out of the box, even if you don't overclock it. We went with this motherboard because it's a good value board that's got a lot of white and silver on it, so that'll go really nicely with our white theme build. So we've also got some white Corsair RAM, so 32 gigabytes, 2x16 gigabyte sticks, 3200 megahertz CL16. We got a 1 terabyte SSD. We've got a 4 terabyte hard drive that we're going to be adding to our case. We've got this Intel CNVI Wi-Fi kit, which is compatible with this motherboard, and so we're going to add Wi-Fi Bluetooth connectivity to it as well. And so in addition to that, we've got a Gigabyte P850 GM 80 plus gold 850 watt power supply there with a 5-year warranty on it. And we've got the Corsair iQ Elite Capital X cooler in white. So, and yeah, a Lian Li Dynamic 11 case, if you hadn't noticed, in white. So, just a little fun fact about the D11, it comes in a few different sizes. So there's the XL, which requires this. There's the mini, I should say, which requires the small factor power supply. Then you've got the XL, which is a slightly bigger form factor case, and it gives the capacity to put an extra 120 millimeter fan on the back there. So if you feel like these builds look a little bit empty at the back there, you can go the XL and have the 10th fan installed there. It's kind of, you don't really need it from a functional perspective. This would just be Lian Li responding to people's market, like the marketing team responding to common things that people were asking for, or what they thought was a downside about their case or whatever. Because there's no need with the standard configuration here in a Lian Li case. You're going to have 3 fans blowing in cool air from the bottom, and you'll ideally have the radiator mounted to the top with heat being exhausted out the top, and then these fans mounted to the side, which are also blowing out heat at the back of the case there. We've got a few people commenting there. Is it Mick?
Mick says hello.
Hey Mick, how you going?
Says, hey mate, how much is this build shipped?
Oh, this was like 39 or so. It's pretty expensive because of all the parts we've gone with. Send me a message. I'll if not, I'll have to eat my words because I'll say the wrong number now. I don't have a photographic memory and I do too many quotes for people. Yep.
Ian also says, howdy doody, Tim and Christine. I have the same case but black. I'm keen to see how you set it up and hopefully I'll be able to improve my setup.
Yeah, no, all good. So yeah, there's a pretty standard way that I build these. I've done quite a few of them over the years now, and yeah, I've worked out a pretty good configuration for them, like that I can sort of just build with any sort of hardware and sort of not have to worry too much about is airflow optimized or whatever. Patrick's here with his dad joke. All right, hit me with the dad joke.
What do you call a knight who is afraid to fight
A knight who's afraid to fight. I don't know.
Surrender.
Sir Ender.
Surrender.
Sir, yeah, Sir Ender.
Render.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yes, it is a good joke, thanks. That's a meme, that one. Alright, so we'll put the 3070 Ti down here to the side for now. We'll also put this RGB controller for our Corsair fans plus the Lian Li cable extenders down to the side. We'll get our Wi-Fi kit installed here. Let's have a look at this motherboard. So ASRock have some really budget boards that are like basically bare minimum. But if you go with something that's not like the complete cheapest board from ASRock, you'll generally get a pretty good board for the price that you'll pay for it. And certainly all of ASRock's really high-end boards, they're brilliant. They're all brilliant. Anyone who says that like their really top tier boards are shit or anything like that is probably just a little bit butthurt and a bit of a fanboy for one of the other brands, to be honest, because objectively they're awesome. And see, I'm too small to get paid anything by any company to say anything, so you're just getting my opinion here. Alrighty. So yeah, as we can see, a pretty good board there. You can see this little M2 slot down here. That's actually where the Wi-Fi plugs in. So basically, it's just integrated with the motherboard there. It's basically the same connection that you'll see with a board that's got built-in Wi-Fi. They'll just have the connector up here behind the rear I/O. Speaking of which, there is. There is an I/O shield for this one, and we will need it because we have to install the CNVI Wi-Fi kit. So that will mean opening up our I/O shield a little bit early, because we're going to run the cables for this discreetly out the back behind that bit of a heat sink there, so we don't see any of it. And it's just going to plug in and the antennas will come through on the motherboard there, so it'll just be like this board had built-in Wi-Fi Bluetooth. Alrighty, so we'll start with our CPUs. So any of the K-series CPUs, even if you don't overclock or anything like that, they're still a good proposition for you, because they are better just out of the box without even overclocking or anything like that, compared to any of the ones that don't have a K in the model name. So yeah, check that out.
Tim?
Yeah.
Anthony says, hey Tim, thanks for building my PC Friday night.
No, that's all good, man. And yeah, Anthony, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Anthony's was one of the ones I shipped off today. I'm pretty sure.
And Sven says, can you SLI 3070s or 3080s?
No. Nvidia took that functionality away. It's just 3090s now. So yes, sorry. Well, it's not my fault, but yeah, they're taken away. They're going away from that. We're moving into the era of big fucking GPUs. So no, SLI's dead. The era of big fucking GPUs is here. So that's the direction that it's all going. The problem is with developers for the games, making the game work with SLI is a heap of work. So they've sort of moved away from that concept. Other than professionals who use the 3090 for other sorts of workloads, they're not gamers. The people who SLI is left for are just the professionals at this stage. So if you're a gamer, it's all about a big fucking GPU and not so much the SLI. Don't worry about that. Even if you had two 3090s in SLI, it's not gonna be the sort of performance improvement that would warrant spending thousands of dollars, probably about nearly $4,000 with the SLI link. So yeah, just a thought there. So we got two 16 gigabyte DIMMs here. So these are called DIMMs if you didn't know, which is dual inline memory modules. And if you were wondering sort of like what is RAM, and you've only ever had short answers like, oh, it's memory or something like that, I'll probably give you a better description of it. Basically, the CPU needs a little bit of memory. If not, it can't remember what it did 2 seconds ago, right? So it needs to be able to remember stuff. If not, it's completely useless. It can't remember. Yeah, it's like a fish. So it needs a little bit of memory. So the engineers, they build in a little bit of memory on the CPU. It's called cache. Okay, so CPU has a little tiny bit of memory. But in order to run programs and apps and stuff like that, we need to expand the amount of room that the CPU can use as its memory. And this is where RAM comes in. So RAM and the CPU joined at the hip. We're expanding the CPU's memory by adding more RAM. And so what that means is you can run more intensive apps that require more system memory usage. And yeah, that's essentially the sort of role of RAM. So you can have fast RAM, and obviously the faster it is, the faster the CPU can access it. So things will be a little bit snappier and stuff with faster RAM. But there is a point of diminishing returns with memory. So basically, it's pretty much around actually just a fraction above the standard that we use for most people's builds, which is either 3200 CL16 or 3600 CL18. So
if you know, will the next gen GPUs be PCIe 5.0?
will the next gen GPUs be PCIe 5.0? Or I'm not sure. I don't think they'll jump to PCIe 5 for the GPUs, just because there's so much bandwidth still left in PCIe 4. And that would mean that they would be locking their the graphics cards only to Intel 12th gen users and the new upcoming Ryzen 6000 CPUs. So I don't think they're going to do that at this stage, because like if you look up how much bandwidth is left with PCIe Gen 4 in terms of graphics cards and stuff like that, we got plenty of room for way more powerful graphics cards on PCIe 4 before we have to worry about 5. 5, I think, is the focus mainly was on SSDs.
Tim, Peter says hi.
Hey Peter, how you going? Good to have you here. And so yeah, we got our 1 terabyte NVMe SSD installed. So really easy to install NVMe SSDs, provided you can find the little tiny screw that comes with it. Speaking of which, I'll actually go ahead and put a screw in the bottom M2 slot here, just in case Brodie wants to update and expand his SSD storage. Then he doesn't have to worry about SATA SSDs, which we plug in with the cable and stuff like that. They're a bit more fiddly to install. Very easy to get the customer just to plug in one of these M2 SSDs down there if they want to expand their SSD. Whereas, getting a SATA one installed, easy for me. Bit of a oh shit moment for people who aren't familiar with it. So, alrighty, we got everything on the board sorted, so we just got the Wi-Fi here, which is just going in that tiny little slot below all this. So yeah, that's it. I don't know if you can even see it in there. It's a little tiny card. That's the card there. That sort of thing. And now, where am I? Pliers. Because we're not going to use this bracket in here. We're going to try to keep it as tidy as possible. So I'm going to unscrew these. You can use these if you bought this kit yourself, but the thing is, there's only a couple of random MSI boards that use this, and then it's just ASRock boards that have this. If you've got a Gigabyte board or whatever, you can't, or an Asus board, or most MSI boards, you won't be able to use this Wi-Fi kit.
Screws. Oh.
She says fucking screws, I say watch where you're stepping.
Excuse me. Maybe I should start wearing shoes around your workspace.
Yeah, maybe you should.
Tim, Adam says g'day, mate.
Hey Adam, how you going? Alright.
Tim, Dean also, that's a damn good RAM explanation, but it does latency come into it as far as that goes.
Yeah, so that's all about the speed of the memory itself. So yeah, in terms of your latency, you want to have RAM that's kind of like paired with the sort of the base speeds of your CPU. That's kind of the short answer there. So yeah, in terms of the latencies, you're talking about like the latencies in terms of like your real world latencies, or the latencies as in like when we talk about the CAS latency. Because yeah, your question might be, I might be able to give you a much better, much more in-depth answer by email if you just send me a message or something like that.
You don't get to walk away, Christine. We have questions that need answering. I'm sorry.
But yeah, basically with CAS latency, essentially what you need to understand is you can get higher speed, but if it comes at the cost of latency, if it comes at the cost of latency, then it doesn't equate to a net performance gain, if that makes sense. So like even though you could get, say, DDR4 like, I don't know, 4000 CL19 or something like that, that might sound like it's, you know, a decent speed and shit like that, and the latency might not sound too bad, but when you actually look at the performance of it, you'll see that it's below 3600 megahertz CL16, which is basically the ultimate sweet spot for DDR4 memory. Yeah.
Adam says doing the big down in Victoria will as good as can be.
Yeah, yeah. Oh well. Yeah, we got the freaking election with like not very good politicians, eh?
Yeah.
They're just not very good. None of them are
I
very
just
good.
want a politician that sounds like a real politician.
Yeah, I just want a politician that's like a real politician, you know. I just want a leader that's like a real leader. Like, you know.
I want someone who goes on holiday, one in Australia burning.
Yeah, come on, dude. Come on. And he's meant to be a marketing. He's meant to be a.
Gonna forget that
He was
one.
meant to be a marketing dude. How do you fuck that up if you're a marketing dude? Like, isn't your job
Well, he must
selling?
be a pretty shitty marketing person.
Yeah, obvious.
Fuck that one up.
That's what I was. That's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, I wouldn't drop that ball. That seems like easy political points, right? No. I don't like getting into politics here, but I just think they're all fucking useless. I think there'll be downsides, no matter which way it swings at this election.
Adam says, no, not put it all. They're all there for their own pocket. Car salesman, he is.
Oh man.
Theodore says, you name a good politician and I'll fly to your place on a magic pig unicorn.
Oh. Why does it have to be like that? You got to be a certain sort of crazy to get into politics, I reckon. Alrighty, so that's our board there with our IO shield sort of all prepped there. So these cables here just get concealed behind the IO shield there, so you don't see any of the cables with it, which is good. If I can just leave it there, and yeah, sweet. Alright, so the next part of our project, now that our board is all prepped and ready to go, is the cooler and the case.
Theodore says, don't cut your core on that IO shield.
Oh, I know, right? It's twice now.
I missed the second one.
I know.
What was it worth? Probably cutting myself. No.
I don't know how many of those things I've put on, and I only ever cut myself the first time recently. I'll blame it on the stream. Doing it live. Making me reckless.
Yeah, whatever. You're just hopeless.
Speak up a bit.
I said you're hopeless.
So people can hear you. Alright. Don't lose your little bolt for down there. It's a weird shape. Go out.
Did you like bleed all over the place like you did the first time?
No, I realised what was going on.
He learned.
Okay. So the first thing we'll do, which is we'll just get this hard drive out of the way. So one of the features of the Lian Li Dynamic XL is the fact that you have hot swap bays. And so if you don't know what hot swap bays are hard drive trays that when you pull them out like this, they become disconnected from the SATA and power, and then when you go to slide them back in place, they just connect. and hook up automatically. So pretty cool and pretty convenient if you ever need to swap drives around and stuff like that. Or if you think you have a problem with the drive, you can easily disconnect it and reconnect it to troubleshoot, etc. And just make sure you put your hard drive in the right way, basically.
I don't understand why they put those SSD trays on the bottom where you put the fans. Why do they do that? To keep them like on shelf for SSDs or something. Is that why they do it?
Oh yeah, see I think that's like an old school thing, right? Back when having an SSD meant like buying this like $400-500 freaking drive to have like a decent sized SSD, and it was like a bit of a flex, I guess. But yeah, not really so much anymore. SATA SSDs. There's nothing wrong with SATA SSDs. Don't get me wrong. Don't walk away from this thinking I'm bragging on SATA SSDs, because if you go and compare the performance of a SATA SSD and an M2 NVMe SSD, compare it in like game load times or Windows load times and stuff, I think you'd be very, very, very impressed with what the SATA drive, what sort of real world performance you get from a SATA drive versus an NVMe, considering the actual like benchmark speeds that you'll get. Alright, so our drive's installed there. We get this cooler sorted. So this cooler comes with 3 fans, and it comes with a Corsair Commander Pro. Yeah, I know. I still exist. The box is just big. Alrighty, here's all the stuff from inside the box. Here's our Corsair Commander Pro. So we're not actually going to hook any of these fans up with the Commander Pro. We've got another Corsair controller around somewhere. I did bring that out right here. And so the reason why we're installing the second one is because the Commander Pro only has 6 RGB ports. So we're going to add the other one because the other one will have another 6. And because we got 9 fans, we're going to need more than just the one controller. So see, I've got so many spare like Corsair controllers, like brand new in packaging and stuff like that from builds where we didn't need them.
Dude, he's trying to get in the big fight, the Steel Legend box. Dude.
You just had to see what was in there.
No, he likes boxes and he's trying to get in. He's in a play mood. And he's like, box. Can I fit?
Okay, so this is our Intel mounting kit. Because we don't have LGA 1700, which is Intel 12th gen, we can just push these things all the way into the middle, and that will fit perfectly.
He likes boxes. Yes, he does.
Yes, the cat likes boxes.
I think there was a little bit of
Yeah,
second meaning
I
to
think
that.
so. I think so. I think so.
Yeah, he loves himself a good boss. I'm sorry I had to say it. Oh, jeez.
Someone got up and actually made a political sign as a bit of satire, and they called themselves Max Dicks. And he was up there with a political sign and said, "Google Max Dicks, you won't be disappointed." Oh, dude. Dude. Yeah, and I was like, I couldn't help but share it, and I was like...
That was an actual satire thing. I almost thought it was real.
No, it wasn't real. It wasn't real. The dude's having a laugh. I feel like the dude who was doing it's like a local stand-up comedian down in Melbourne or something like that. They got a pretty good sort of scene for that sort of stuff down there. I get the feeling it was photographed in Victoria, so it was in Melbourne. So yeah, I shared it. I'm like, he's a hard-working candidate. You know, he's prepared to put in the long hours and won't come up short, and show your support for this monumental candidate in May. I posted a little blurb with a few fucking innuendos there, and I think it went over a few people's heads. I don't think many people saw it on Facebook, or I find it way funnier than I should, apparently.
Dirty one.
It is. It's legitimately funny though.
Yeah.
All right. So because we don't have a fan on the back, we can do it with the radiator, like this.
So, Lian wants to know: are we buying GPUs yet, or still waiting?
Are you? I don't know. Are you? Are you buying GPUs or are you waiting? No, well, like I say to people, I'm not, unless you're buying like really high-end stuff, I'm not expecting much of a price reduction on things like 3060 Ti or 3070 Ti, for example. But we still don't know exactly what cards NVIDIA will keep making with 40 series. They said that 30 series will continue. So, some cards will and some cards won't. That's my prediction. Yeah.
Lian says, he as in you and I.
What's that?
Lian says, as in you and I.
With regards to what?
The GPUs.
Oh, like... Yeah, like I said, so, you know, 40 series is coming, but like I said, it's not going to lead, there's not going to be like a mass fire sale on like mid-range 30 series cards as a result, because there's not going to be any mid-range 40 series cards to replace them. So maybe if you're after a 3080, but like, I mean, even 3080 prices have come right down. They're at a really good price performance level. You know, it's compared to 2080 Ti days, the price performance is awesome for 3080, even right now. You'll be able to pick up a 3080 for not much over 1300 right now.
Check this out.
Yeah.
Look at my screen.
Yeah.
That's where your parents go.
Oh, okay. Alright. And so we got pre-applied thermal compound on this. Only very small differences made by changing to some premium brand of thermal paste. So only pursue that if you're overclocking and you're really looking after everything, every sort of every little inch of performance that you can get. With most people, 99% of people, not going to make a difference. Very good. All right.
I got paid early. No, I should say.
Okay, so we won't worry about mounting these controllers or any of that till the end. It's much easier to sort of tie them down and all that right at the very end. And easier, obviously, to leave your power supply till the very end. It gets in the way with routing cables and stuff like that. And so yeah, these are the SATA SSD trays that I think Christine was asking about earlier. And so yeah, that used to be a bit of a flex, but now we sort of heaps of RGB fans there instead is more of a flex. Alright, so always tilt your case down to do this next part. Yeah.
Luke says nice work, mate. So keen in my build.
Ah yes, so Luke's is coming up. I think we're doing like we're basically doing like a value Lian Li Dynamic 11 build. If I'm remembering Luke's correctly, it's going to be a black one, and it's going to be like if you wanted the Dynamic 11, but like, you know, not without like, you know, the premium fans and all that kind of stuff with it. So he'll be able to add a lot of those sort of upgrades and stuff like that himself with what we're building. And please forgive me if I've got your build wrong and I'm describing someone else's quote. Oh, actually, I just realised something I'm gonna do. I'm gonna actually use the fans that are on the cooler right now, on the bottom here, because these are Corsair light loop fans. So they've got a dual light loop, but it's only on the front side. And because these are going to be face down, it would be kind of redundant at that point. So what we'll do is we'll actually swap the fans. So the fans that are going to be on the radiator will just be these LL fans, which are the same like internals as these other fans here. So they run at the same speeds and stuff like that. But you'll see more of them on the radiator because the radiator is going to be mounted to the top with the fans face up, like, pardon me, like that. Sorry, how stupid of me. I should remember that. No, it is easy just to keep going, and then you're like, oh shit, hang on. Following the instructions wasn't necessarily the easiest and best thing to do. So this will look better, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about when we have it all assembled and it's lit up. Ah, good fun, swapping fans. So tedious.
Your favourite job ever? Don't you remember?
Hey, I could be a shit cunt and just build it, like, that way. Oh no, will this ruin my productivity? That's a joke. There's no productivity metrics here. That's what happens when you're not a corporation, hey? What are you doing?
Huh?
What are you doing?
Me?
You're gonna get some more of that freaking shit from the other night.
No! Fuck you, I don't know what the hell that was. It's Trista's birthday. She's raising money for a mental illness place that want to like help reduce the taboo of like mental illness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I'm just giving you shit because
Yeah, I know you are. You're a bastard.
I'm giving you shit because I can't see the comments when I look up at the screen. So whenever I don't see the comments when I look up at the screen, I'm gonna give you shit about something. So you gotta be quick. All right. So now we got. Oh, hang on. What am I doing?
You're an artist, Tim. You're an artist.
I don't know. Only I know. Only I know.
Sing me the song of your people.
All right. Because these will be mounted top down on the radiator like this, and the radiator will be mounted to the top of the case, we're going to see all of our light loop fans, and then our non-light loop RGB fans, they can just go along the bottom there. All right. Yeah, make sure you do the bottom fans face down. You want to make sure that the fans on the bottom are drawing cool air into the case. The whole design of this case is centered around you having 3 fans on the front there blowing cool air into the case. Other configurations in terms of the airflow just are inferior with this case design. I've only ever seen people having problems with the temperatures and stuff of their PC when they have it in a different configuration to what we're doing here tonight. So you just make sure your cables are going the right way, but it's pretty easy to conceal the cables for these bottom fans. And also, if you want to make your life easier when building in a Lian Li Dynamic series case, get a full-size RTX motherboard. It will make your life and the cable management process a little bit easier. I don't mind doing a micro RTX in one of these cases, but it is definitely a little bit more challenging to route those cables without a whole heap of cables running in from every direction around the motherboard. And so yeah, the other thing with 120mm fans is like they're not all the same. So some of them are sort of more powerful, they have higher RPM and stuff like that. So if you've got a heap of fans in your case and you're finding that there's just not enough cool air flowing in, you could maybe try replace the fans that are on the inlet ones with ones that are known to be more powerful. So these Corsair LL fans are a good example of that. Alright. So with these 3 fans that are mounted down here, just go ahead and undo the bunches of cables. While they will be going to slightly different places ultimately, for now they're going to be routed in the same direction.
Yes.
Whingier than ever, that fucking cat.
You almost tried to trip me up then.
Whingier than ever.
The rowdiest girl.
We have this fluffy cat and he's fucking whingy. Alright, so once you got them all untangled there, probably the best way of doing it, alright, is route all the cables to where it's coming out from that middle one. And this is probably the best strat that I've got to deal with these cables down the bottom. Just get one zip tie. And so yeah, just tie them off at the back there. And then you just got one bunch of cables you can feed through. Down there. Sweet as. And so there we've got our bottom fans installed, nice and easy. And so yeah, like I said, get those cables out of the way before, get everything else in place before you put the power supply in.
Tim?
Yeah.
He wants to know, so why not intake on the side as well?
No, not really too much point in that. So you've got 3 on the bottom there that's just blowing heaps of cool air into your case. You've got a few more here that are pushing heat out. You've got heat being pushed out the radiator. Remember, the radiator will constrict some of the airflow out the top, so it's balanced by more exhaust on the side, considering that it's less effective exhausting out the side than it is at the top as well. So there's a few little dynamic factors to consider there in your Dynamic 11 case. Excuse the pun there, that was pretty shit. But anyway, at least I'll admit it. So basically, once you get to this stage, you can look at actually getting your radiator and your motherboard actually in the case, or you can also get these other 3 fans in place as well. So the thing is like having more airflow in, that doesn't matter if the air isn't coming out the other way, if that makes sense. Then the fans are spinning and there's like positive pressure that it's blowing against, trying to force air into the case. So ideally you want sort of balanced airflow. And so this is just what I've found from doing a lot of stress tests on them, that this configuration here seems to work the best, because there's a little bit of gap here. There's some gaps on the side here as well. So if there's a little bit more pressure exhausting out, it'll just draw more cool air in from outside the case through some other gap anyway. That seems to be what happens when you set it up like this. So, and yeah, we got like an i5 11600K here, and yeah, it's a 3070 Ti. So yeah, it's not going to be it's not a potato or anything like that. It's not going to be the toastiest possible setup. We don't have like a Ryzen 5800X under there or anything like that, or an i9 12900K, which is some of our more toastier chips. If you look back through our videos and have a look at the ones that feature those 2 CPUs, you'll see some higher temperatures on them, and that's just because they are known to be toasty boys, basically. I found it with Ryzen 5800X. I remember when it first came out, I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with this thing? Why is it running so hot when its cousins aren't running hot at all? For a while it was like the only AMD CPU you get, because people just didn't want to, like companies didn't want to buy it and put it in people's PCs because they knew that people would complain and say it was overheating. Yeah.
You see this rock formation?
Yeah.
It's called the cavity plate.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Sorry everyone, my wife's showing me photos from my parents' holiday.
cool.
I know, but time and place. Tag me in it. If I'm not already tagged in it. Alrighty, so we can put this dust filter on before it gets damaged or something like that. It's magnetic and it also sort of clips on at the bottom there. Alrighty, and then for these fans here, once again, they're the LL fans, so we're going to have them face up. And so they can just come in like this. So remember that with the cabling, you can just route it. Hang on. Yeah. So you can have the cabling behind the fans if you want. I find that's generally a pretty good way to go. We've got this little bit of a cable tie on the back of these fans. But if you just remove them, you'll have no problem screwing them in like that. So I'm just clipping away a little bit of plastic here. There we go. No one will ever see. Okay, so we can, yeah, I've got a few bolts here as well. And my suggestion is always, yeah, start from like around the top there. And if you have a little bit of a gap at the bottom there, that can come in handy for positioning and routing your RGB cable extenders to your motherboard and graphics card. So if you wanted to work out how to route them, leave a little bit of room below that bottom fan there. It'll come in handy. Where is I'll just chuck this one in the remagnetizer. I'll use this screwdriver for now. Okay, so you can get this little box that's got like what I assume to be a neodymium magnet. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. You know, the powerful magnets. And so if I just leave that screwdriver in there for a little bit, it will actually remagnetize and it will pick up the bolts for me. There we go, and just after that. Not much, but a little bit. Enough for our purposes for now. At least it stays on the end of the screwdriver. So yeah, just leave a little bit of a gap so you can maybe fit some cables in down the bottom if you have to. That's my advice. Okay, so our case is all prepped other than our power supply. So we're going to go ahead and get the actual motherboard in the case. So we don't have any offsets to adjust, but before I forget, ASRock do have this stupid kind of, in my opinion, pointless 10th offset in their ATX boards. I normally forget all about it, and it's not a standard thing for ATX boards. I normally I'll leave it blank, but they do have this hole here on their motherboards. And yes, the board that I have definitely has this one as well. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to lay this one down for just a second. Alrighty. Okay, let me get
So,
yeah.
the says, what's up that cat and send it to China plate so they can add it to the menu? No!
Nah, the fluffy cat
He's
stays.
a good boy.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good value. I give him shit, but he's like He's the most zen motherfucking cat ever.
He only meows when he wants dinner.
He lays around all day, and I tell him he's in trouble because he's, being a cat and stuff like that. He's not in trouble. I'm just giving him shit because he doesn't do anything. Like, he doesn't do anything wrong. He just lies there in the corner all day. Does absolutely jack shit. He doesn't piss you off or anything like that. All right.
Tim.
Yeah.
He says, "Hey Tim, as the cooler has ML 120 fans and the rest are LL 120 fans, will the controller control the fans in unison so they're all the same, or will the controller fans be?"
No, so it's IQ, man. So it's all synced up through IQ. You don't have to worry about whether you've got whatever ML, SLL, QL, whatever fans. It doesn't really matter. You'll be able to sync it all up with Corsair IQ. But you might have to actually go in there and play around with the software and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, it's here.
Who?
Damo.
Damo? Hey mate,
Hey dude.
Hey, how you going? Good to have you here.
He says, "Bloody Timbo."
Mate, it's been a while. Damo's one of my old workmates. Back in the Asahi days. Okay. Yeah.
I can't say it.
Ah, yeah. You can't say it. Yeah, fair enough. Alright, so we'll get this white cooler in place. I'll just put a couple of bolts in it just to get it. Alrighty. Will I have enough room? Yeah.
Check this out. Patrick's been baking again.
Ah. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Sweet. Alright. So we don't really have to worry about our power supply cable because as you can see, we've got plenty of room to plug it in. And we've got plenty of room there for our graphics card. And so yeah, like I said, you don't have to really worry about which fans you use. What you do want to make sure to prevent any sort of potential conflicts is We've got 6 SL fans and 3 of the others. I think they're technically MLs. We've got the Corsair Commander Pro and the other controller. We're going to use all of the SLs in one controller and all of the other ones in the Commander Pro.
Oh.
So that's how we'll be rigging it up. If
I didn't even
you're
realise. No
interested.
wonder why they were playing Star Wars theme song today. It's May the 4th.
May the 4th, yeah. I don't know who started
It was the Imperial March that they were playing. Dun, 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 dun. I was like, what? And I started listening to it. Buddy. Did you eat all the meat?
Okay, so we've got all of our Corsair fans and stuff over here, sort of out of the way, and then we've got this. This is our power to the Commander Pro, or from the Commander Pro, I should say. And then we've just got all of our other cables here to plug in. So we can do that. We've got audio. You can sort of route a bit of that cable there. You can sort of wedge a little bit of it there just below the CPU and the hard drive tray there. Don't force it in there, but just enough to hold it in place slightly while you route this cable. And so we're gonna need USB 2. Yes.
What do you want second dinner? Are you a hobbit?
USB 3 is around this side there, okay. And USB-C. And there. Alrighty, that's all hooked up. So we've got our Commander Pro for we can put 6 fans onto the Commander Pro in terms of the actual fans, and then we'd have another 3 which would be powered from our motherboard. So probably all along the bottom here, I reckon.
Tim,
Yeah.
Mal wants to know, hey Tim, were you on Lego Masters?
Lego Masters, no. I wish.
Carl, this is
That sounds fun.
another Lian Li case without the Lian Li fan.
Yeah, because Lian Li fans aren't as good, man. They're shit. They're shit for what they are. And so unless someone specifically wants Lian Li fans, I'm not gonna sell them Lian Li fans just because the case is Lian Li if they're an inferior product, right? I do not care about brands. one thing about me, do not care. Do not care. I'm not, yeah. Alrighty, sweet. Well, like I said, just got another 3 fans, and I think I'll probably just plug the 3 that are in down the bottom to the 3 bottom headers. That makes sense to me.
Tim?
Yeah.
I've done something.
I don't know. What have you done?
Don't worry, it's alright. I fixed it. I fixed it in ways you'll see in the budget.
Righto.
Luke says, do you think I should upgrade a little bit more on my build?
Do I think you should upgrade? I don't know. We'll have to have a look at it. Have to have it in front of me to tell you. I mean, I don't.
You're doing a build for him.
Yes. That's what I mean. I'd have to have his specs out in front of me.
Nick says, g'day, Mr. and Mrs. Timbo.
Hey Mick, how you going? Good to have you here.
Tim, Brian wants to know, wouldn't it be better to get a Steel Legend board with Wi-Fi built in than buy external Wi-Fi card?
Yeah, unavailable. In a perfect world, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you wanted to know what's the reason.
But yeah, unavailable, man. That's basically the reason. All of the not the Z590, all of the Intel 500 series boards are sort of on clearance right now. They're not sort of making any more of them. So as stocks run down, the options for white motherboards start getting really tight. Okay, everything else is hooked in down the bottom there. Okay. Let's look at these controllers. Okay, so like I said, we're going to be using 2 controllers here because we've got a total of 9 fans, and there's only 6 on each. Alright, so what I'll do is, this one here, because we plugged in the 3 down the bottom to the PWM headers on the motherboard, I'm just going to plug in these 3 fans to this RGB controller here. So remember to use 1, 2 and 3 if you've got 3 fans with a Corsair controller. It doesn't like it if you use like 1, 4 and 6, for example. Which way will I orientate it? This way will do. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Commander Pro. So this will get mounted on the back of that other panel that we're putting in here. Yeah, yeah.
Nicole wants to know, when you say they aren't good, do you mean performance or build quality?
Oh, the quality, man. Yeah, the quality of them is pretty shit house. They need to do a little bit more to impress me because they're asking big money for the fans. And you know, like 1 year warranty isn't good enough for me, man. If you know what I mean, like if I want to buy a fan with just 1 year warranty, I can buy like $15 Deep Cool or Silverstone or whatever fans that got 1 year warranties and stuff like that. Sweet, no worries. We can get them going on, and they're a third of the price. So it's just. I don't want to go recommend. I don't want to recommend things to people that I know have a high chance of failing on them. So that's.
Oh shit. I just heard a truck from the beaver's door and somebody pulled out in front of me.
Oh, that'll happen.
That's what I'm assuming.
That will happen. Alright, so we won't tie it down, but I might just go ahead and plug all this in. So yeah, we've got 6 fans and 6 RGB, and so we've got 6 of one type of fan and 3 of another. So I'll hook the 6 up through the Commander Pro and 3 up through the motherboard. What?
Check it out. It's in a bath bag.
A bath bag?
Yeah.
A cat bath bag?
Yeah, because he scratches and all that sort of stuff and flips his shit when he has a bath, so...
Oh my god, there's such a thing as a bath bag for a cat.
Yeah.
We definitely live in 2022, that's all I can say.
The poor thing, he hates everything about it.
I bet he does.
I don't blame him. The poor thing. Though, if your cat like literally shreds his nails trying to get away from you while you're trying to bath it, then it's probably a good thing.
Yeah, probably. No argument there. Okay, so that's all ready to get tied down in our case. We do have this cable here, which it powers our pump. And we can go ahead and plug that in there. And I think I need a USB 2 splitter, because I think I've only got one USB header on the motherboard. So, yeah, I do. I've got one laying around here somewhere. I don't think I'm going to stop the show. I'm not going to stop the stream dead while I look for it though. I think we'll just if these fans at the bottom don't light up, that's okay. That's okay for tonight. I mean, I'll have a quick look. I did have it on my desk. Nah, look, I'm not gonna waste a whole heap of time looking for it, but I will need a splitter for the fan controller for these bottom 3 fans. The fans will still work, so nothing wrong with their actual performance. They're just not going to light up. That's all. No big deal. Alright, and that will be another cable to now. Alright, I think it's power supply time. since we've got like basically everything else all sorted, let's get our power supply sorted. So most of these cables, other than for our CPU, are just going to be tied up at the back here and tucked away behind that panel because we've got the RGB cable extenders. Alrighty, so we need SATA cable, we need PCIe cable, definitely need our motherboard cable, we need one for the CPU there, I think we'll probably be right. We won't need to install any of those other cables. Yeah.
Yeah, it's finishing.
Ah.
I haven't even seen any of that, but
Yeah, that was a really popular show for kids. Yeah, I've never seen it, but I've read about it, and it's critically acclaimed and shit like that. So don't know what Bluey is, but I'm pretty confident that I'll approve of Bluey. I just can't bring myself to watch a kids show. I've always got other stuff that I need to watch. So yeah, try to when you do work with a Lian Li case, try to get a modular power supply and just install just the cables that you need for the build, because obviously it does get a little bit tight. Well, why isn't this working? Because I've got the power supply in a suffocation position, that's why. Oh. So one thing I'm happy to announce is that young Bradley, well not young, he's like my age. Bradley is going to be finished paying off his PC. After paying like $100 a fortnight, he's paid off like $3,500, and he's got himself a RTX 3080 rig coming up. 8 terabytes of storage and everything, all that sort of thing. So he'll be very, very happy. Alrighty, so how are we looking around the front here? Yeah, pretty good. I don't have any other cables I need to route discreetly. I'll just... Yeah, that's my unbreakable iFixit kit screwdriver that keeps unscrewing itself. Not for commercial purposes.
So does Tim do any gaming in his spare time? He's been playing a lot of Pokemon.
Yeah, I've been playing some Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl on the Switch to get away from PCs as a bit of a downtime thing for me. So I've been doing a bit of that,
We're almost finished. We need to download Arceus and play that one before the new game is coming out.
You should play that game and I'll watch and make my assessment of it from afar.
Because I really want to play that game. I've heard some really good things about it.
I've heard good things about it, but I'm one of these old school Pokemon snobs. I only play main series games, sort of thing. Oh, Pokemon Snap, I guess that's a side game that I approved of.
The new Pokemon Snap's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh. Still haven't finished that. You really need to be
I still haven't even played it. I haven't even played it.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, like Nintendo, the only reason they're around is because they have like franchises like Pokemon and Mario and stuff like that. If not, they probably wouldn't exist anymore.
Yeah, probably not.
Like honestly, because it's like, why do I own a Switch? Pokemon. That if it wasn't for Pokemon, I wouldn't own a Switch. Right? Like, simple as that. And I'm sure there's like a whole heap of people out there who are like, yeah, pretty much, man. The only thing I really need on Switch or with Nintendo is Pokemon. It's the only game that I'm interested in, sort of thing. I can't be the only one out there who's like that. Okay. So everything's all good. I just need... I thought I had a spare SATA cable just lying around. But that's okay. We can open another 2-pack. And yeah, mounting options like, okay, so yeah, That can just plug in down there. So I've got our hard drives power hooked up, and I've got power to both of our fan controllers. So once you got all that SATA stuff sorted, just tuck the cables away in there. You've got a bit of length from both of these controllers. Remember that this is going to be mounted somewhat like this when we're all done. And this, oh look, it's all going to have to come out anyway. I'm going to plug that one in later when I get a splitter for the USB 2 header. Basically. Want to split it? Yeah, I do. I do actually. And then just one cable down here for our CPU power. There we go. Alright, so graphics card and motherboard. So like I said, we're not going to need a lot of length in these because we got these things. So we're going to go ahead and install these. No, I'm all good. Sorry, I just needed to get a drink then. I was going to start coughing. Alright. So we do get a controller for these that we've got to hook in to the motherboard via this cable here, which We can route that one behind the motherboard there, nice and discreet. There we go. Okay, so that'll look pretty cool coming down like that, and then our graphics card will come up around like that. That's the plan. Okay, so this little controller box here for that, we can probably just leave it loose up the top here. You could tie it down, but it just becomes a bit of a pain if ever you need to move anything around. Okay. And as for our motherboard and graphics card, so just try to keep those cables sort of folded up there. And then just put a cable tie around a lot of them. Maybe plug your motherboard in first, your motherboard cable in first. Oh, dropped it. Oh. Those moments that are easier with three hands. That's what this is. Off. You are meant to stay behind everything else and up there, out of the way. Okay. So we're looking pretty good back there. We've got all those cables tied back and routed to our cable extenders out the front. Then all we've got left to do is literally just tie down a couple of cables there, sticky tape that onto the back of this panel here like that, and we'll be pretty much in business. So, what have we got left to do out here? It's time to plug in our graphics card. Alrighty, so this is the Vision 3070 Ti, which is a nice big chunky card there, all white and stuff, white with a bit of metallic purple. Always sticky over the center of the fans here for some reason. Okay, so we're using slots 2 and 3 here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. So, with all these other fan cables, I'm just going to use one cable tie here to tie these down in a bunch. So that's all of the excess cables from here. And if you get bunched away, you can access that controller from up the top there. Excellent. Got this extra USB 2, I'll just tuck that just under the power supply there, so I can get to it later. And then, yeah, we'll put that controller there on the back of that panel. And we can go ahead and tie everything down. So yeah, nice and simple there. Only a few zip ties used. Then if we need to like make any changes or do anything, we can just pull out the bunch of cables that we're working with, remove the one zip tie, get the fan out that's faulty, hook it all back up, and it's not a right pain in the bum. But yes, other than our little SATA cable here for our hard drive, that's the only cable we don't have connected, and there is a technical reason why that is. We've also got a couple of extra bolts to put in our radiator at the top, but other than that, we are ready to fire her up. It's a shame the bottom fans won't work.
I'm sorry,
So FYI to anyone who didn't catch this before, I need a USB 2 splitter for those fans down the bottom. So the fans at the bottom are going to spin, but they're not going to light up. So don't worry about that. That's something that I'll fix up later on. I just don't want to waste time looking for this splitter that I know I have while I'm live, because I feel like such an idiot looking for something while I'm live. Alrighty, so we can see some early signs of life from within the case there, because our motherboard has a little bit of RGB on there, but
Ew. Oh, it's the bottom right hand.
top one. Sorry guys. There's always a freaking cable in the way. So the bottom ones are going to light up for us, but we're just not going to be able to address it with software. Okay, that's kind of cool. That makes me look like I've done my job. This will do. And before we get started, have you shared the screen?
No. People don't see that.
Yeah. There we go. Alright, so Corsair have this, sorry not Corsair, ASRock have this cool little tool called Instant Flash. So if you've got the file on your SSD and click on Instant Flash, it'll find it. And then you can just automatically update it. So you don't have to find it yourself. It'll find it for you. So I very much appreciate that. It looks like our Lian Li Lian Li strips are on the controller control. Yeah, there we go. I've just moved them over to the motherboard there. Okay. Alrighty, there's our NVMe SSD.
Oh God, Tim, check this cat out. He's learnt that the fridge is in fresh water. Check it out.
That's a smart cat. Okay.
Oh, I love it. Picture of veterinarian showing cat how fat it is.
Nice.
That would be me if I was at that. You're like, see? This is how fat you are.
Do you want to go back to the screen for a second?
Yeah, there's a hair rolls. There you go.
That's better. Okay, so
Huh?
Australia, US keyboard layout. Opportunity limited setup. That's how I hear Microsoft saying it to me. But Microsoft, no beef with you guys, it's just freaking... It's just that you guys don't let... You do an offline install. I want to set it up so the customer can sign in for the first time with me installing and testing things on the computer as well. I know, I ask for a lot. Okay, let's plug some internet in. Alright, and while that's thinking about all that, we can go ahead and start getting some useful software installed. NoWD, ASRock App Shop. Don't worry, it's not a shop, it's just, I don't know why they call it that. Everything's free. It's a shop where everything's free. So don't worry about that. No. BattleNet. CPZ. So all this software that I install, it doesn't take up a lot of space, but it is, like, they're useful apps. Like, they'll tell you information about your system. Like this one here, Crystal Disk Info, this will tell you if your storage drive's about to fail. So if you think something's wrong with your SSD or hard drive, that's where you go to find out if there's anything wrong with it. That's what other one here called Crystal Disk Mark. This is one to test the speeds of the drives. As you can see, they don't take long to install. They're not like big applications or anything like that. Where else we got? Firma. It's called a stress test. GeForce Experience. Plug-in monitor. IQ. Definitely need IQ. sorted. Yeah. What's the deal with my stock? This stuff you see behind me isn't stock. Okay, I'm not sitting here with like a mountain of like PC parts just waiting to depreciate on me or anything like that. So all my PCs are built to order. I work closely with local retailers and wholesalers to supply most of the parts. I try to use stuff that I can get a hold of quickly. I don't like to have to order things in from overseas or anything like that. But yeah, I don't like buy up on all these parts and have them sitting around to build PCs out of, if that makes sense. That's just not what I do. All my PCs are built to order. Everyone can choose the parts that they want in their PC build, or I can suggest them to them. But yeah, there's no set configurations. There's no like certain parts that I only use or anything like that. If people don't have a preference to things, I'll suggest things that I think are good price performance and are going to be good for them. But yeah, like if you want something, I generally don't really sell like PC parts on their own. But if you're after a heap of parts, like a kit to build a PC, I can totally ship you a box that's like a PC build kit that's got everything that you need inside it to build your PC, and you can go and build it yourself. I can do things like that, but yeah, I don't have like all these graphics cards that are like burning a hole in my pocket waiting to do some bargains for people or anything like that. All these boxes behind me are empty. This is all stuff from previous builds, basically. So I've had one person comment, and they said that it was businesses like mine that were making it so hard for people to get a graphics card and stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, you've got the wrong idea about me and my business. Yeah, we're not out here buying up pallets of stock or anything like that. So what's up, babe?
That's alright. I'm just looking at things. What else am I doing?
I don't know. That's why I asked. How are we looking? Okay, so alright. So I'll get MSI Afterburner set up here quickly. This will allow you to control the fan speed on your graphics card. So you're not just stuck with whatever the manufacturer sets. Which is good if you're in like a warm climate or something like that. Oh, we're going to force a restart on me. That's okay. It's going to, because ASRock's a bit of a pain with their software updates. They make you restart every time. So if you want to go away, grab a coffee and come back, have a cigarette, whatever a 5-minute break looks like to you, and come back. 5-minute break. Okay, how are we going back here? Should be just about done. Oh, one more. Oh, okay, we had a problem with IQ installing, that's right. Alright, I got part way through setting this up.
So,
Yeah.
Fiona wants to know, can you do a video one day about the software you use and the reasons why?
Yeah,
You
like,
just flash the installs quick.
yeah, well, I mean, I can go through it. I can go through it here tonight with you if you want. Like,
So,
yeah.
Luke says, hope mine looks like
Yeah, well, I think the thing that yours lacks that this has is the RGB cable extenders mainly. Alright, so that wants to, looks like it wants to do a restart. Sweet. Alright, so the software that's installed here, CPU Z, this is basic information about your device. So I'll have all about your CPU, motherboard, memory speeds, graphics, little built-in bench test there, so you can see where your CPU ranks compared to others. Hardware monitor, does exactly what the name says. I use it for the stress tests. This will monitor all the temperatures, voltages, powers, etc. of all the devices you've got plugged in. Crucial Storage Executive, this is software that comes with the SSD that we installed. And so what we can do with this, we can actually this software here will enable you to use the RAM to speed up your SSD. So we can go ahead and activate that. It's called Momentum Cache. Needs a reboot, so I'll finish going through this stuff quickly. Crystal Disk Info and Mark, as I said, that's information about your storage drives, including their health, how long they've got left until they're dead. Crystal Disk Mark will test the speeds of your storage devices. GeForce Experience is the software with your graphics card. It will help keep your graphics card drivers up to date. IQ is Corsair's software. MSI Afterburner, that's this app here that you saw me in. Not IQ. MSI Afterburner, and this includes the Reva Tuner statistics server as well in the one install. And this is the on-screen overlay when I do the benchmarks. And then yeah, the benchmarks, Heaven, Valley, Superposition, and then just VLC and Chrome. Obviously, you should know what VLC and Chrome are. And these other ones on the top, App Shop. This is just ASRock's utility, and ASRock RGB or Polychrome Sync, as it's officially called. This is the RGB controls for your for the RGB cable extenders. Whenever you're ready. Oh no, there it's doing an update. Motherboard RGB firmware update. That's what this is. And there we go. So we can move over to the RGB 1 header, and we should be able to. No. I know. No, we are on. We are on. I was just on the wrong header. But yeah, I think you get the idea there. I'll just put it on. I'll just leave it on rainbow. That's fine. Anyway, I'll enable momentum cache. That'll make our SSD a bit faster. And we'll reboot, and then I'll test it in Crystal Disk Mark and show you what I'm talking about. About to be signed out to enable drive caching. Absolutely. Okay. So now that we've got drive caching going on, we can run a test on our SSD speed. And while we're doing that, we might go and set up our 4TB hard drive. So you need to create a partition for your new hard drive. It won't just work when you plug it in, so don't freak out if you don't see it at first. You've got to come into disk management, set it up just like how I did. It's pretty easy to set it up at the default settings if you don't want to do anything special to it. And so as we can see here, look at these speeds. It's like we've got a Gen 4 SSD in there. But this is just a Gen 3 SSD. Yeah.
Ian wants to know what's the best software for checking driver updates for hardware apart from Windows Update?
Well, I just use Windows Update for that, or I'll just use an official application that is supported by the manufacturer of the device that I'm using. So in general, that means the ASRock software, the MSI software, the ASUS software, or the Gigabyte software. Basically, as a general rule, I'm not saying every single app is 100% malware, but basically if it says it's some sort of driver update app, it's malware, man, like 8 times out of 10. So you don't want any of that kind of crap on your computer. Yeah, as a general rule, it's malware, pretty much more times than not. So try to stick with just the official software that comes with your PC for searching for updates and stuff like that. Yeah, the GeForce Experience software or the Radeon software for the graphics cards, or yeah, the official software that comes with your motherboard. And then for other devices, just refer to the manufacturer's website if you think there's... But the thing is, with most drivers, right, if there's a known problem in Windows will eventually update it for you anyway. So it's always good to know. But yeah, as you can see, much faster speeds there than Gen 3, but we've just got a Gen 3 drive. Alrighty. So everything's all good. You might be able to make out that the RGB is slightly different on all the other stuff on the motherboard. It's the Corsair watercolor mode, but the 3 fans on the bottom, because I don't have that splitter installed, they're not communicating with IQ just yet. Okay, got some updates for IQ. I'll just get all that sorted. But yeah, other than that, hopefully that makes sense. There's not really too much stuff that I install there. It's just the stuff that comes with the motherboard and just a few useful apps there. CPU-Z, hardware monitor, Crystal Disk, Info and Mark, and MSI Afterburner, and which includes Reader Tuner. So Riva Tuner is what's creating this overlay that's coming up over IQ right now. So don't worry about that, it's easy to turn on and off, but we're going to be using that for the next thing we do, which is run a few gaming benchmarks. So I run these ones from Unigine, and the reason why I run these is because they're the most common that people use, and they're generally, they're set up to run on a wide variety of hardware. So if someone's watching this at home and they want to try to compare what they're seeing in front of me right here with what they've got at home, this is a good way of testing it just from downloading these apps. So you can just go to Unigine's website here, just type them in, they're a big company, you'll find them, and yeah, you'll be able to download these 3 apps. So for the first one here, we just do Heaven, High, no anti-aliasing, and we give this a run. And so all the main stats here will be up on the screen. This number here below RAM is the frames per second. What? Why? Why? What do they say? I don't care. We like Linus. We don't have anything against Linus. I think objectively he's achieved more than me. Okay, I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a fucking problem with that.
Why would you say that? That's not good.
Okay. Alrighty. And so next we've run Valley. So Valley is a more demanding benchmark from the word go. And we also run it on higher settings than before. We go Ultra, Max Anti-Aliasing. Okay, so that was Valley there. And so the final one we run is Superposition at 4K. So that was the superposition. And then finally, this is where we just do our stress test. So this involves the only two apps we haven't talked about, which is Cinebench and Thermark. Alright, so we got our nice furry donut, and we have Cinebench. So we'll run this for 90 minutes. And so yeah, we just log the temperatures over here in hardware monitor. We run this for 90 minutes. Basically, what we're doing here is running stuff that's going to produce a lot of heat, a lot more heat than just gaming or something like that. We're doing the equivalent of rendering a video with the CPU while we're running a game with the graphics card. So trying to do the two things at the same time is yeah, definitely putting a lot of strain on the CPU there, and we're testing the cooler, we're testing the airflow dynamics of the case. We're making sure that all that sort of stuff's right before I ship it out to a customer. And so, how are we looking? Where's our temperatures for our CPU? Right here. So 70 degrees under load, which is excellent. 4.6 it's staying at, it looks like. And our graphics card here, 62 on the GPU, 70 on the hotspot. So you can go up to 100 on the hotspot, up to 83 on the GPU. So plenty of headroom there. And we can go up to 100 degrees on the CPU. So once again, plenty of headroom there. So I'm not foreseeing any major issue with this. I've done this configuration before, so yeah, it's not going to cause a problem. But I will let it run just to make sure that nothing's like going to prematurely fail on me. But yes, that is pretty much where we end the stream, because it gets a bit boring here from this point on, because all we do is just sit here and let this run. So normally I go have dinner and stuff now, but if anyone's got any other final questions for me, now's the time to ask before I leave. We'll be back with more live PC builds. We've got more coming up in the next few days, so always ask another night. Or just send me a message. We spoke about something in the comments. If you left me a comment here in this video feed, I should say, make sure you let me know in the message so I know it's you. Because if not, I won't necessarily connect a message in my inbox to our conversation from last night. I'll just be like, oh hey, so you after a quote on a new PC? No, I think that's pretty much gonna be it for the night. I think.
Stay juicy.
No worries, man. Have a good night. All right. So,
Says nice work, but
thanks everyone for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you all in the next video.